Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hi.
This is our spoiler review for Tomb Raider. If you'd like to see our spoiler-free review, there's a link in the description below. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, this is probably something you shouldn't watch, unless you just don't care. So if you have seen the movie, cool, then just stick around and we're gonna talk about it now. So Tomb Raider, this has a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. I am inclined to agree with that score, even though that's an aggregate score. When I walked out of the film, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Still saying this is the best video game movie that has come out yet.
I like to do a 5-star rating, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty much on par with that, I think.
I think that's a little higher, but
a little higher,
but
you know, like 7 or 8 out of 10. I'd say that's pretty accurate. I had a thoroughly good time. I thought it was entertaining, it was exciting, it was thrilling. I loved Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
I thought she was a great Tomb Raider. You know, she had lots of nuances. She wasn't just this badass from the get-go. You kind of go with her on her journey, and it was really fun.
I agree with that, actually. I like that in the beginning of the film, she gets her ass handed to her. She actually goes through a lot of setbacks over the course of the movie and deals with a lot of losses. And I think that that was actually really important to establish that she is not invincible. She is a human being. Even though she goes through trials in the film that is questionable, you know, it's my suspension of disbelief got lost a little bit sometimes, like when she had the parachute moment. Like, the parachute would have flown right out of her arms and taken her face out. And then she, like, barrels through the forest. I'm like, there's no way the only thing that happened to you is you get the thing through your stomach. I get that they were trying to pay homage to the game as much as possible, and that I do appreciate all the little nuances and nods to the people who played the game while maintaining this cohesive film for people who haven't played the game at all. I think they did a good balance there. There were moments for me that kind of just had these weird deviations from the plot, like her chasing those guys and her on the bicycle. I'm like, okay, I don't know why we needed such a long bicycle sequence.
It was fun though.
It was fun, but it's like the adventure is the island, and we needed to get there as fast as possible.
But I think they needed to show those things to set up the type of person that Lara Croft is.
I think there's,
But maybe they could have spent a little less time on it.
Yeah.
But still, it was fun, and you got to see that, oh, she's a risk taker.
Yes.
She's impulsive, but she's smart. All those things are important to her character.
I agree with that. I think that it just could have been shortened a little bit and given more life, more things to other parts of the film. But that's just, you know, me being a little bit nitpicky there. One thing that I did take issue with that is nitpicky, for sure, is the music in the film. There were certain moments that were just, the backdrop was very poppy English music, and I'm like, I don't really care for I don't care for pop music in general to move a film forward, generally speaking, these days. It feels like they're selling me the soundtrack as opposed to just telling the story.
A little bit, yeah.
And so I don't like a film to feel like a commercial for something else, is what I'm saying. Like, don't be a commercial for games or toys or whatever. Just be the story. And if that other stuff happens as a byproduct, then awesome. When she was chasing down those Asian guys who stole her backpack, initially I was annoyed because I'm like, here we go again with something that's just kind of like distracting from the plot. But they redeemed themselves when she ran away, when they pulled out a knife. And they sort of established, well, like, this is how she gets the information for the boat. One person who we saw the film was complaining, maybe it was you were complaining about how Daniel Wu, who's huge in Hong Kong,
awesome.
huge in China. He was also in the show Into the Badlands.
Yes.
A very, very, very good actor, but he had no Hong Kong or Chinese accent, even though everybody else did, even though he grew up there. I forgave it right away because Daniel Wu actually grew up in Asia. Like,
yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with that. I think you're thinking of Courtney.
But he should have had like an English, I don't know what his accent should have been if it wasn't that, but.
I'm just like, you know what, I grew up in an international school environment, my accent's messed up.
Yeah.
I buy it that maybe he has an American accent. It didn't bother me that much.
It didn't bother me much either. Like, I just wanted to share that, you know, Courtney raised questions about it. I thought his accent was fine. I thought his acting was fine. There were some moments in the film that were weird, like when Lara Croft was trying to convince Daniel Wu or Lu Ren to take her to the island, and he says something about his dad, and she goes, "Did this happen 7 years ago?" And he goes, like that, there were certain moments that were just kind of melodramatic, and it's like, given the cast, it's just a little funny to see. I'm like, these guys are very, very talented people, and this is a very melodramatic arrangement. And I'm like, I can only assume that has to do with a combination of the writing and the directing.
I think sometimes as an actor, even when you're A-list caliber, like Alicia Vikander, you know, sometimes you get given a script that the lines are a little cheesy, and you're like, well, got to make it work, and I think she made it work.
Right.
So I'm not mad about it.
One thing I need to mention is the action, the way the action was shot, sometimes the action was cool and fun. At the very beginning, when they show Lara Croft, like even though I could see right away, this is Lara Croft, and she is already immediately better to me than Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft. I'm sorry for saying Lara wrong, but the way the fight scene was shot and edited in that establishing moment who Lara is, I'm like, it's chop, 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 chop. Even in the same angle, it's like jump cuts just to move it along, and I'm like, don't let me see what's going on here. Let me see her get her ass kicked. I want to see the choreography. It's just so choppy, I can't make out what's happening, and therefore I just don't give a shit. I'm just trying to like stay with the emotional beat of what's going on. I don't really care about the choreography. To me, it's just all fluff when I can't see what's happening. So that annoyed me, and that happened a few times in the film. Most of the time it didn't do that. Most of the time I could see what was happening, I could see the action, I could appreciate it. Again, I thought that there were some moments that were just kind of out there. The ending was a little bit predictable with her dad, like we could all see. I saw that her dad was gonna come back, and I knew once her dad came back that he was gonna die on the island.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, I didn't know how, but I just saw that coming. There were definitely fun like puzzle moments. I thought that in comparison to the original Tomb Raider that came out years ago with Angelina Jolie, I'm like, this is so much closer to what it should be, in my opinion. Video game movies have had a bad history, and given like just, you know, the gamut of films we've had in the video game film genre, I'm like, this is definitely the best. It's not the best movie, it's not the greatest film you'll ever see, it definitely has its issues, but ranking it amongst the other video game films, I'm like, I will take this any day over most of the other video game films that are out there. It's up there with Mortal Kombat and Silent Hill. Like, both of which...
Resident Evil?
The Resident Evil pissed me off because it's totally not the game at all. At least this was following the game. It was like, these are moments you find in the game, and this is a story that is, you know, close to what you find in the game. Someone that came with us called it, basically she was getting environmentally raped, like because she was getting so brutally beat up by her environment in the game, and that was definitely done here in the film. I don't like the word rape being used that way.
Right,
but
yeah, it's kind of disturbing.
It is disturbing, but you see she gets her ass kicked by the environment in Tomb Raider, in the film. But that's a good thing because it shows that she's overcoming all these obstacles, and it's like, that's the John McClane effect. You need to see her overcome obstacles, otherwise she's just this invincible superhero, which doesn't make any sense, even though there's some moments that are like, oh, I don't know. But overall, it was a fun adventure. Like, you know,
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I would watch the film again, I would recommend it. Again, I know it's not the best movie, I know it's got its problems, but it's the best video game film so far, and I'm hoping that this sets a new precedent for how we approach video game films, and it only gets better from here.
If you're someone who enjoys a thrilling, fun, exciting action film, regardless of whether you play the game or not, you like strong female characters, go watch it.
And we watched it on Girl Happy Day. Happy Girl Day. Happy
Girl Day. AKA International Women's Day, Jaby.
I'm deliberately messing it up. Please let us know. If you saw the film, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. I know that a lot of people were upset with it. IGN gave it a really bad score, like 5 out of 10.
Wow.
I don't even know what Rotten Tomatoes has given it because I haven't bothered to check yet. Let's find out what Rotten Tomatoes says about Tomb Raider. 48%. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are just not happy with the movie. I went in with low expectations. I went in thinking I was going to give it a 30% or whatever, or, you know, a 2 out of 10. And I was like, oh no, that was actually a fun movie. So going in with low expectations, I actually came out, you know, really happy.
I feel like you ought to do that for every movie that you watch, really. Then you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Just go in with 0 expectations and allow yourself to, you know, really feel whatever your true feelings are.
One last thing I want to say is I was very much wrong about Alicia Vikander. From the commercials, I was like, I don't think that she's a good Tomb Raider. I don't think that she's a good Lara Croft. And then in the movie, the moment she shows up, I was like, oh wow, like I was so wrong. She was a tough woman. To me, it was like, it was great for little girls because she's definitely an inspiration of what a strong female character can look like. Just what she overcomes, her physique, everything. Like, I loved her. I think that she's a great female role model, the way that she's presented in the movie.
She's totally my new gym inspiration. Just like looking at pictures of her as Tomb Raider, and I'm like, dang, if I can get my back to look like that, what am I supposed to do? Anyway, that's totally off topic.
When you said gym, I thought you meant J-I-M. I'm like, who's Jim? Like, what are you talking about? G-Y-M.
Yes.
Okay, yes, all right.
Gym-spiration, my Fitspo.
There you go. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Please be sure to check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media. She's got an Instagram, Twitter, her own YouTube channel. Those are things that you should probably follow. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.